So in this video, let's talk about my photography secrets to getting consistent photos anytime and anywhere. Hi guys, this is Jiggy, a portrait and wedding photographer from the Philippines, and welcome to the channel. So this video, as I said in my intro, is basically a step-by-step process on how I shoot. We're here in the garage. As you can see, it's very messy, but I chose this particular location specifically for that mess. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the gear that we will be using today. So first off, my trusty camera, the A7R Mark III from Sony. The lens that I will be using is the Sony 50-1.4. The trigger is a Sony Remote Commander. Flash that I will be using will be the Sony F60RM. I have the MagMod Mag Spear, Mag Grid, and Mag Gel installed. The flash is on the MagMod Mag Shoe. Later on, you will see I will have a small window here that's basically a live view or the feed coming from my camera, which is brought to you by this one. It's the Hollyland Wi-Fi transmitter. It's connected to my camera via HDMI. And from there, it transmits a Wi-Fi signal straight to my phone. And in my phone, I am doing my recording. Now, aside from my flash, I'm looking at the scenario here. I might actually need two more things. And the light that I might probably use eventually will be this one, my Nanlite Pavo Tube 2 6C, and my Photix M200R connected to a clamp. Okay, I'll show you guys why I need this light later. Okay, step number one, location assessment. Sorry for this ultra wide shot because I want you to see everything that I'm working on here. Why did I choose this particular scene? Well, number one, I'm shooting my wife again, and I want to make sure to give a juxtaposition of having something so messy and so ugly, but then having such a beautiful woman here as my subject. Now, also, one of the reasons why I wanted this is because I want to be able to take away that notion that beautiful images will only come out from beautiful locations. Any location will be good so long as you know how to manipulate everything. That is one of the secrets on how to be able to create consistent images anytime and anywhere, because you are no longer location dependent. So first thing that I do, analysis of my location. All right, so let's get here. I positioned my camera here already. So now you could see a live view of what my camera is seeing. I'll put it somewhere there. Now, first thing, when I look at this, this is a composition that I want so that I can give a little bit of depth. Maybe I will put my subject somewhere there. And what do I see immediately? I am seeing that I am lacking light there and there. So that's it. We're basically analyzing everything, and I think this is good. So the second thing is we analyze the ambient light. That's number two. That's step two. So I've already done my initial ocular of the location, and I've pinpointed areas on where I want to be able to shoot, where I'm going to compose it, because I probably have this shot here and one shot going here later. Now comes the next step, is your analysis of ambient light. So you can see here, this is basically how ambient light is as set by this existing ambient light. So what do I want to do with that now? Though I'm looking at it, that this one is stronger than that light there. So I might have to add some additional light. And this area here in the corner, here, that one, is lacking some light. So that's why I said we actually might be using my other artificial light, but it's basically a continuous light, so it can just blend with everything. The nice thing about this Nanlite and with the Photix M200R is that I can change the color temperature. So I want my color temperature to match that of existing ambient light. So how do I do that? I basically just put my hand here and put that light there and see and adjust basically the color temperature and see when it matches, more or less, by eye. Can't really get it perfect, so I'm going to put it right there. This Nanlite comes with magnets, so this is a metal metal cabinet, so I can probably put this here. All right, that looks good there. Now, this light over here, I actually like, but I think it's too weak. I'll put in another light there. I'll use the Photix M200R now. Set my color temperature to the same. And power more or less about 80%. But it's somewhere here, just to be able to light up this area. Okay, then let me check it now on how it looks in my camera. Oh, there, perfect. Now the light is more balanced. So because of my analysis, I knew that there was ambient light that was missing. So basically, I fixed it now. The third step will be to adjust my camera to ambient light. Okay, so what do I do now? First, white balance. I'll fix my white balance so it's more consistent and it's to the mood that I want. I want this one to be in the warmer tone. Maybe I'll put it, since I think that one was 2700, I'll put this one in maybe about 3200 there, or 3500. 3500, just so that I can get that orange tone that I want. After which, I will set my ISO. So when I set my ISO, you guys can see it there, what I'm doing here inside the camera. And right now, my flash and my trigger are still off. I'll show you guys why later. So I'll set it at ISO 100 because I think I can. And I can bring down my shutter speed now to about, maybe a stop under. Notice how everything just became very, very moody and just so much texture came out and the richness of color came out. That's why I like shooting underexposed. So now I am adjusting to ambient light. But while adjusting to ambient light, I noticed something here that I would want to remove. This one. This one is a bit of an eyesore, so I might have to move it somewhere here. Okay, remove that. Of course, you're always free to move stuff around if you want to. But of course, we can't really clean up this entire space because that's the whole point on why we're shooting here. Very nice. Oh, that ambient light though, I think I want to bring it down even more to light up the lower part of the area. Okay, and clamp this here. Oh, there we go. So we're building it up. We're building up the scene. Oh, there we go. Looks a lot better. Okay, so I think I've set already my ambient light. I've set my white balance to how I want it to be. And from now on, I won't be touching this anymore. Remember, I did a video on 5 steps on how to control flash exposure. I'll put a link in the description for you guys to be able to see it. But basically, once I've set my ambient light exposure, I no longer touch my ISO, my shutter speed, and my aperture. The aperture, I forgot, I set it at 1.4, primarily because I want the subject to pop out from the background and to blur a little bit of the mess, but to give character to the image itself. Okay, so we're done with that. I've already done the analysis of my location. I've already analyzed my light. I've adjusted to the ambient light. The next one is I fix or I choose the modifier that I want. Now, if you notice, the existing ambient light is basically very, very moody. So I want to be able to create the same light from my flash because my flash will be my main light illuminating my subject. But I want the flash to seamlessly blend to the environment. So I chose the mag sphere because the mag sphere will give me a light similar to that of an incandescent bulb, a bare bulb, though a bit softer. Then I have the Magmod Mag Gel, which is half CTO now because I think that will match the color temperature of the existing ambient light. Now, I also have the mag grid installed just so that I can control the spill of my light. So you guys might be wondering, it's weird that I'm putting a grid in a sphere, but it does work. For some reason, it does work that when you put the grid, it just makes the light smaller but still soft and still gives the same characteristic. So it's here. Now, I've chosen my modifier. I could have chosen a big modifier, but if I did, it might have just spread the light all over. It wouldn't have given that light that will match the entire scene. Now, it's time, after I've chosen my modifier now, I have to fix my flash location. So as I said, I want my subject to be here. So I'll be getting this light probably as a hair light. So the natural area that I will be putting my light, or the more the most likely area for me to put my light will be somewhere here. There we go. Don't you just love this mag shoe? It's so easy for me to tilt my flash. With the F60RM, I can tilt the head this way so that light appears vertically instead of horizontally, because if it's horizontal, the spread of light will be this way. But since the subject will be here, I want her body lit, so I will tilt the head this way so that it's a vertical strip of light here. So this might actually work. Let's see. The last thing I will adjust is my flash power. Okay, now I'm gonna go back here and I will adjust my flash power now. Okay, so this is the exposure that you've been seeing there. That's the one I've set. But take note of what will happen if I turn on my trigger. When I turn on my trigger, automatically it becomes brighter because it turns off live view in my camera. So this is not the actual exposure. The one that you're seeing there is not the actual exposure, but rather this is actual exposure. So you will see it later when I start shooting. I have to turn on my flash for it in order for it to work. So this trigger is wirelessly controlling my flash now. I think it's time for me to call my model, which is going to be my wife again today. Coco, do you mind coming in now? So while we're waiting for Coco, that flash is set on group A. I'll show you guys here. Beautiful thing about having a Sony flash with a Sony system is that I can control the flash system within the menu, which is what you guys are seeing now. So I don't need high-speed sync, so I can turn this one off. Hi, babe. I can turn this one off. And this one is set on group A. And let me check. My exposure is 1.4 ISO 100. Again, shutter speed as of this moment won't really matter because shutter speed affects ambient light only. So now I'm going to turn off my flash again so you guys can see the exposure on her face. So this light, okay, since that's where she's going to be posing, again, I will have to move my flash position and putting it closer so that I can control the spread of light. Oh, I forgot to mention, this is the Photix Padat Carbon, Padat 200 Carbon. It's a very reliable light stand that I've been using there. Okay, so that's my exposure now. You could see it there. I'll turn on my flash. Everything will just be brighter. And go into the menu system. I'm assuming this should be about maybe 1/8 power or 1/16, and let's do a test shot. Could you face towards here? No? I like the way your body is, but just face towards this point here. Okay, lean forward a bit. Okay, good. Put my focusing point there. But look at that. Look at the IAF just tracking your eye already. Perfect. One on the count. 1, 2. Beautiful. All right, so given the heat and all the dirt, I think this location was worth it. So let me recap again. These are basically my secrets in order for me to be able to create consistent images anytime and anywhere. In other words, I am not dependent on my light. I'm not dependent on existing ambient light, nor am I dependent on location. Because for me, location will always look good if the light is good. And if the light is not good, I always have my light with me. So again, to recap, the first thing that I do is I do location assessment. After I do location assessment, I analyze the light. Then I fix my camera to the existing ambient light, meaning I adjust it. I set my ISO, my aperture, and my shutter speed that I don't touch anymore afterwards. After I fix my existing ambient light, I now ask myself, what modifier will I use to be able to... Ooh, see? I think there's a bat. So I'm going to ask myself what modifier now I will use to be able to match my light to the existing ambient light to make it as seamless as possible. After that, I position my light to where I want it to come from. And last but not the least, I fix the power of my flash to even out everything. So again, that is my secret. I hope you guys learned something from it, or it inspires you to start shooting with artificial light. And if you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, click that notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. If you want to see more of my images, feel free to follow me on Instagram. It's at Jiggy Alejandrino. Okay, till the next video.